Okay, in this very brief, quick tutorial, I'm just going to show you how to basically set up your project in case you haven't already done this, so everybody's pretty much on the same page. You'll launch Premiere, and when you get to your basically your home screen here, you're going to go New Project, right? And that's going to go ahead and let's try that again. There we go. And that's going to open up this dialog box where you can create a project. Name it your first initial, last name, underscore P3 underscore npm, right? So that we know it's 20 p.m. Your location, now your location might be a little different than mine because I've got two internal drives on this laptop. So I have a C drive and a D drive. My D drive is where I save my secondary media drive, that is where I save my projects and my video. So depending on your situation, you may have only one drive. You're going to just pretty much save it on that drive, but you want to make sure you've created a folder where to save it. So I actually have already, which I called Premiere. Actually, that's not the folder. So I'm going to hit Browse, and I'm going to navigate to it because I know this is on my D drive. Again, everybody's is going to be different. So I come down here to my D folder, my D drive, and I have created a project down here that says TVRA Project 3 Spring 2020. I will select that folder, and that of course identifies it here. So this is to save my project file, correct? I will hit OK, and it gets me into Premiere, right? I can organize my workspace however I like. I'm going to go ahead and double click in the project window and import some media. There we go. I've got this folder standing by here that I could navigate to pretty quickly. It's some of the stuff we used in our exercise, these nature images. I import that whole folder, and I have a whole bunch of pictures here of different resolutions, generally pretty high resolution. But now before I drag them in, because I may have gotten these in different locations, so what I want to do first is set up my sequence so that everything else will have to conform to that sequence. Okay, so I can right click right here in the project panel and go to new item and select sequence. And I'm recommending that we all try to work at least in the same format. And so I'm selecting the AVCHD 1080p, and in that folder, right, which you expand, there'll be a setting down here about 5 clicks down that says AVCHD 1080p 30. Now, the only alternative to this is if you've grabbed a whole bunch of stills or shot your own stills and everything is the same format, then you can go ahead and bypass this, grab your images, grab one and drop it into the timeline. And so, for example, let's say this first image here is representative of the same format, same dimensions as all my images, then I can just drop that in the timeline. In the timeline, the software will determine what it considers to be the best sequence settings. But I only recommend that if like the vast majority of your images are the same dimensions and the same resolutions. Once you do that, you can always come up here to the main menu, click sequence, and select settings, and you can take a look at what the what Premiere selected. So it can see they gave you a 16. This is 1600 by 1200, so not exactly 1920 by 1280. So this would not be a great example because we want to try to be 1920 by 1080, 1920 by 1080. Anyway, this gives you an idea of what's happening here. So that would be set like that. So the other option that I'm really stressing, so I'm going to delete that sequence for a minute, right? So I haven't dragged anything in, is to go ahead and create that sequence first. So I just collapsed that folder with all those images, right click and select new item, sequence, boom. Okay, bring that up, and this may be collapsed, or sometimes it may default to something like this, the old standard definition. So you're going to have to come up here to AVCHD, expand that, and there'll be a subfolder in there that says 1080p. Open that and go down and select the AVC HD 1080p 30. Hit OK, bam. All right, that creates your sequence. And now whatever you drag into there, they're going to be different sizes. Then you're just going to have to conform them to those dimensions. So there's my first one. You might want to magnify that a little bit. So you can see here on the right side of the screen on my program monitor, yeah, this is a little bit, the width does not match. So like we did in class, you might have to click and, we're trying to fill the screen and click on select it, open it up in your effects control, set your position and your scale, and just scale that up so it fills the screen accordingly. And when you do scale like this, check this box below it, which should say uniform scale and should already be checked. If you deselect it, then it allows you to adjust the height and the width separately. When you select it, whatever adjustment you make on scale will automatically adjust the width and the height. Okay, so that's a starting point there. And then, depending on the other images, again, some of them may be much bigger than others. You can always check those properties, remember, clicking on the right, doing a right click. Let me do that again. Doing a right click in the project panel and coming down right here to properties. And it will tell you right there, that one's 1600 by 12. This next one is Mountain, Colorado, which is somewhere down here. Here it is. Let's check this one out. Right click on that, properties. So this one's a little bigger. This one's our 1920 by 1080. So this is perfect for this project setting. So in that one, I don't have to scale it up or do anything. It's already fitting the screen perfectly. Okay, so this quick little starter for you to make sure you get set up correctly. And the next tutorial will cover some other things related to Project 3.